How y'all doing? I'm Clance Laylor, Master Strength Coach of LPS Athletic. So I was born in Jamaica, in Manchester, Mandeville, country boy. I came to Canada very young, 8, 9 years old. And when I came, I was actually in Vaughan in Caledonia. It was the first place, I remember that. And my mom was there with us, and I remember she left. My dad came home one day, and I remember my mom, I didn't know what was going on, and my mom told me to tell my dad that she's going to the airport. So I didn't know what was going on. And she took my youngest sister. Her name is Sharon. And yeah, the rest after that, it was just my dad, me, and my sister. Rough, man. You're going to school in floods. You know, they call you freshie. So, you know, a lot of teasing, picked on. You know, I was very dark. I am very dark. So back then, you know, being dark wasn't in. So you get, you know, teased. As the light-skinned boys, or getting all the girls, and you know, girls call you tar baby. So it's just a lot of fighting, man. What got me into working out, honestly, is my dad had a coworker who was a bodybuilder. And my dad brought me home this photo one day, black and white photo, and this guy's name was Bobcat. I didn't know that. Bodcat. Jacked. Man, I fell in love with that photo, put it in my room, and then I don't know how I got to push-ups and whatever and all that, but I was just kind of doing what I knew to do. It was just a lot of push-ups. My push-ups got up to 2,000 a day, but not until I was like older, because I remember I went to a library, Albion and Finch. Never forget that library. I just loved to read, and it was kind of like my quiet time away from my dad. But my mom was very strict with education and reading, so it was always that, like, stop watching TV, go read. And I used to hate her for that, but it actually turned out to be a good thing. So, but I like to read what I like to read. So I remember this Sports Illustrated, Georgia Bulldogs, Herschel Walker. He did 1,000 push-ups a day, so I said, fuck that, I'm gonna do 2,000. That's just how I was. And I started cranking out, you know, slowly building up 300, 400, 500, but till I started hitting 2,000 a day. I remember like yesterday, I do 1,000 in the morning, 1,000 at night, at 100 per clip. I didn't know it really helped. My bench, my strongest bench, when I was like 21 years old, was 425. 425 weighing about like 170 pounds. And that's just, I credit that to push-ups. Like the first organized sports was track and field. I remember Flemington Flyers, Gary Lubin, at a local track meet. I was running, tearing it up, and a couple of guys from our neighborhood. Orville, he's dead now. He got a scholarship to Texas. He got shot. Orville was really good in the 400. I remember back in high school, or back in junior, like I don't know, middle school, you know, we do this test, and I was never a good like quarter mile. Always very explosive, 100, 200, the top. And I'm just, a story just hit me. Like we're racing, and I don't know why we were in the same race, because he was older than me, but I was good, so they kind of pushed me up a bit. And Orville, because back then we didn't sprint out the whole 400. You know, you had a good pace, and then okay, bye. We were there. I was with Orville, and Orville just looked at me and said, "All right, boy, time to go." Boom! Gone. That boy was a monster. Got a scholarship to Texas. But long story short, that's how I got into organized sports. Was Gary Lubin. Gary Lubin was the head coach for Flemington Flyers, and then brought us to York University, started training at York University. That was Ben Johnson, Tony Sharp, Angela Taylor at that time, Desi Williams, Mark McCoy. So I was just a little kid watching all those big guys train. So I got good, and then eventually I graduated to York Optimist. So York Optimist, you know, we traveling around, I was getting good, you know, winning championships, and I think I held the 200-meter indoor Canadian record for the youth. One thing about me, I was always, I work hard, I'll never forget, I shook Muhammad Ali's hand, and to this day, that's my dad's, that's why my dad thinks I'm blessed. He thinks I'm like, I have a horseshoe up my ass, like you're blessed because of that reason. And he doesn't call him Muhammad Ali, he calls him Cassius Clay. And I remember this was called the Peace Games, and the winner, the top number one goes to California to represent North America. So from Toronto, we had to represent Buffalo, right? So we had to run against the American kids. But first you go qualify in the locals, which is in Ontario. You got to be the best in Ontario. Then you go to Niagara Falls, and you got to win there, and blah, blah, blah. So funniest thing, every qualifier, I came second. Until it was time to pick number one, I won. You beat me once, it drives me crazy. And then I just work hard to better. And the coaches had to send me home. Or, okay, enough training, and I'd be around the track all the time. That was just my, and it was an escape for my dad. Like from the home, from all that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Popular, into sports. We went to Central Tech. So Central Tech, the track coach for Central Tech was Bruce Smith. So I didn't live in the area of Central Tech. I was in North Albion, so I was supposed to go to North Albion Collegiate. But because I was in the track circle, he recruited me. They changed my address back in those days, and because if you know, Central Tech was a powerful high school in track and field back in the day, and so I was like behind those guys like Atlee Mahorn and some of those dudes who tear it up. So I was coming up, so Metros, OFSA, all that. So by that time, then I shifted and went to the States. I actually got a scholarship pretty young and moved to the States and ended up playing pickup basketball, really tore up my leg. And I just kept getting injured, so my scholarship was null and void. So I ended up staying in the United States and because track was my life. So when I lost track and field because of the injuries, I'll tell you one incident. So I was at the Peace Games. This was in Indianapolis. I remember it like yesterday, man. It was hot and stands. It seemed like 100,000 people were there. So we were on the 4x1 relay. I was the anchor, and I got the baton in the lead so far that I could have jogged in. And that's pretty much what I was doing. A little bit of showboating, baton drop. Man, I have enough time to pick up the baton and run and still win. As soon as I stopped, boom, my knee went out. I was on the ground, hot summer day. I can hear the crowd. Woo. I was in so much fucking pain. And for some reason, I knew that day, like I felt that was it. From that day on, it just kept popping out. I'd be hanging out with my friends, just popping out, track popping out, till I finally I had like 2 knee surgeries. I was supposed to have another one. I finally said I ain't having no more. And that's kind of when I went dark, like in terms of that anger just started to spill out. You just did not want to be on my wrong side, let's put it that way. But I would go after bullying bullies, for real. And that was fueled by my anger of not knowing what I wanted to do, and track being taken away from me, until I met some good people in my life. His name is Bill Clayton, white guy. He just started to, I don't know, we just connected, ex-football player. We just started going to gym, lifting together, and he just kind of showed me some different things, because I was still surrounded by a lot of negative things in my environment, Just to be honest, man, a lot of my friends are dead or in prison. That's just the bottom line. That's the environment I grew up in. But I was fortunate. God showed me a path and showed me a different way. And I just, working out kept me out of trouble and helped me to calm my aggression. And I didn't know that, so it was like therapy. And that's how I dealt with it and dabbled in other things. I was always a hard worker, entrepreneurial stuff, barbershops, hair salon, club, You know what I mean? I'm a kind of go-get-it type of person. You know, I'm a hustle, never dies type of dude. Like, if I see something I can make some money, I'm at it. But those things weren't making me feel happy. That wasn't my calling. I was just trying to make money. So I was empty. And one day, I was actually in the States watching this guy work out. I go to him, you know, you make money doing that? He goes, yeah. It's personal training. I go, yeah. And blah, blah, blah. So we, you know, got familiar, and he told me, look up this guy named Charles Poliquin and buy this book called Poliquin Principles. I found the book, read that book cover to cover like 100 times. And then the rest was pretty much history. I just started to, you know, read, learn, certification, this, that, go to school, study, because I love education, I love knowledge. And I just kind of fell into it like, oh, this is what I want to do. For whatever reason, when I work out, people notice and they pay attention. And this guy who was a task force police officer, I didn't know that at the time, he just said, yo, man, can I work out with you? And then he got crazy results. And then, man, he goes, you know, after a while, he goes like, man, I'm a task force, blah, blah, blah. I got some guys I would really love working out with you. They love my. And then we start working out together as a crew. So I'm just killing these guys, just smashing them. You know what I mean? They're getting the results. And I don't know nothing about real personal training. It's just doing it my way, just hard work. And they got results, and that's kind of how I started. That's a true story. First time I came back to Canada, and my first client, I'll never forget, man, first client. She's a lady working as in the morning, and she was just doing rows. Her eyes started to turn. Remember, this is my first client. I'm coming from task force dudes to this lady, nice lady, just doing simple little rows on her eyes started to turn, and she started to shit. I'm like, everything I learned, all that shit went out the window. I picked her up, ran to the office. I was like, help, help, help. And the other trainers, I'll never forget, his name was Delroy. He's a CFL football player, right? Delroy, he goes, yo, Clance, calm down, man, calm down. She just needs some sugar, man. He gave her some sugar, she came back to life. After that, I go, he goes, she probably never ate breakfast. After that, everybody fucking eat breakfast, man. Ain't nobody. If you don't eat breakfast, you ain't fucking training. Poliquin is, and by the way, I got to work with Poliquin. I manifested it, you know. I got to work with him. I opened the first PICP, Poliquin Performance Center in Toronto. I was the head strength coach for there. So I use tons of his principles because I got to know the man, you know, his approach, his attitude, how serious he was. He's about that business. He's about high performance. He's not about mediocrity. So I really connected with him. The principles in terms of programming, still to this day, hypertrophy and nervous system, you know. So he has a way of, you know, volume and intensity. And that's part of how my system that I've developed, AAS, still use those same principles. AAS, Athlete Activation System, is basically structured out of all the best I've learned from all the top coaches that have been part of my life and that mentored me. And if you pay attention to AAS, tons of Poliquin principles are in that training system. I'll tell you an interesting story. I went to, when he was in Toronto, and Poliquin doesn't like anyone taping in his seminars. He's crazy about that. He specifically said, hey, no taping allowed in this seminar. You know, seminar goes on, blah, 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 about, you know, we go to lunch or whatever, you know, first in the afternoon, come back. This guy decided to put out his tape and start taping. Poliquin is talking, calm, but in a flash, that's what stood out to me. He flew off that friggin' stage, snatched up his recorder, and smashed it on the ground. He goes, I fucking told you. And he put his finger right in his face, and it fucking like, He was ready to throw down right now. I go, man, I like this guy. It's like, yo, this is my kind of dude, right? He did not mess around. He didn't care. Like nowadays, probably, he probably been charged for whatever, but he didn't mess around, man. He did not play around. No games. It's like these are the rules, and you either roll it. Cause he's like a little bully. He's like, I think he has Napoleon syndrome, man. Cause he's short, like 5'6". He's strong as fuck, but he tries to throw his weight around. I'm not, bro. We can do that. You know what I mean? But he wants no weak trainers. If you're weak, he's coming after you because he wants you to quit. He pushes you to quit. I've seen him make people cry, but he does it on purpose because he doesn't want you. His goal was to make his certification the Lamborghini of all certification. He wants the best strength coaches. And to give him credit, a couple times I had all my, I couldn't afford some of his certifications. So once he got to know me, and he see my marks, I ain't no dummy. I'm asking some good questions, blah, blah, blah. And then when the certification comes out or the program, he goes, Clance, how can you not, he'll send me an email, quickly, why, I don't see you on the list, question mark. He's very short. I can't afford it. Make sure you're there. That's it. What's the cost? Just make sure you're there. Don't worry about the cost. You know what I mean? And that was his way of yo, I want this guy, or I like this guy. I'm going to help you. You know what I mean? He helped people in his own way. And I've seen him sponsor athletes. He come in town, and you can see him, give certain athletes a check for $5,000, whatever, sponsor them. You know what I mean? So he gave back in his own way and he helped me, but he only gave back to people who deserved it. I owe him a lot because he just sent me these, make sure you read these books. That's it. These are the books, read them. Then he'll quiz you on them. He was hard. He asks you questions about him. You fuck up, you're in problems. You know what I mean? He's just an old school type of tough, hard-nosed type of thing, and I grew from that. I sponsor athletes who can't afford high-level training. If you can afford it, my fee is $650 an hour. Who the hell can afford that? Only pro athletes can afford it, or wealthy executives, right? And I don't do one-on-one training unless you can afford $650 an hour. I love performance. I love coaching. And if I see somebody who earns it, who deserves it, I will definitely. I'm a coach. I'm not a businessman. I love coaching. I love producing results. I love when my athletes dominate because I have that eye. If you work hard enough, man, and you believe, you can do almost anything. The only way you can carry that title is if you produce. So, and that's why I love it. Everybody, a lot of people walking around, I'm a master of this, I'm a master. But who did you produce? P.K Subban, from the OHL to NHL, Olympic gold medalist, Norris Trophy. The only way you can produce that is if you produce an Olympian or something close to that. Because you have a lot of coaches that get pro athletes. They're already pro. They're already pro, so a lot of times you just babysitting the pros. That's why I buck heads with pros because they're used to doing it their way. And if you come with me, you're not gonna coast. I'm about making you better, right? So I have a hard time working with pros. That's why it's better for me to work with them young and bring them up. That's why they call me the pro maker, because I'm about producing pros, making pros. I believe only 4 coaches with that designation in North America. You have to produce an athlete and show the proof from they were amateur to the Olympics or amateur to pro on winning certain type of accolades. So thank God PK was that hard worker who focused, grind, listened to what I had told him and did. And, he helped me achieve those designations, but he's not the only one, My philosophy training has to be hard. So I'm really about focus and hard training. And for whatever reason, people fake hard training. If an athlete comes to this gym every day, and every day they come into this gym and they're smiling, laughing, joking, and can't wait to get to this gym, they're not training hard enough. That is not a performance center. That's a fucking daycare or a fucking spa. Ask any athlete that I've trained and ask them if they want to be here every day. They'll tell you no. Not when they're starting out, the little kids, they grow, because you got to build them into that level. They do not want to be here every day. That's how I know athlete is training hard enough. Not because they don't like the people, because we promote a good atmosphere, friendly, respectful, none of that nonsense, no bullying, none of that stuff. You fight, you're gone, you will never come back to this gym. But one thing we promote in this gym is hard work, adaptation. You must come to this gym and get better. If you are not getting better, meaning more speed, more power, more explosivity, more strength, and those things are measured in this gym, that means you're not working hard enough. That will translate to the ice, the track, the field, the court, everything. Look around now. It's like I feel like a dinosaur. All these professional athletes getting hurt because they're getting babied. They're getting treated with kid gloves. They're like glass. No one even hits them and they're getting all these non-contact injuries. What is that? That's the industry that we've created because you are kissing all these millionaires' ass. Like, it's our job to make these athletes better. And what's happening is these super freaks that I understand, like LeBron James, do you think he fucking needs to be in the gym playing, lifting any weights? He's a freak. And the shit that he does, everybody follows, and a lot of it is fucking stupid. Because whatever the shit he's doing in the weight room is not making him a better basketball player. That's a fact. But a lot of athletes are getting hurt doing that stupid shit. And a lot of these coaches don't have the balls to tell these pro athletes, no, this doesn't make sense. So that's what makes me different. I tell you the truth. You know, I'd be respectful about it, but I'm going to tell you the truth. And a lot of these pro guys with all that money, they can't take that. The transition from college to pros is mental toughness, the grind of the season, the change, the politics. Like I'm working with pro baseball player now that, you know, long season, training philosophies are different. Right? So you got to work with all those politics. And the smart ones, you know, you got to learn not to buck the system, work with the system, be coachable. You have to be coachable. And whether you like it or not, you got to work with the politics. But don't be stupid. But remember what got you where you're going. Because a lot of these guys don't care. You're just a number. You're just a racehorse. Or you got all this money, you got all this talent, so they're going to jump on your bandwagon, tell you yes, tell you all this nice, beautiful shit, throw all this smoke up your ass. And then when you're no good, they move on to the next one. So that's the biggest thing I see. Once a lot of these pros, a lot of these guys turn pro, I understand it's new world, new money, new chicks, new this, new that, you know, new world. So like, whoa, blown away by it. But here comes the sharks, bloodsuckers. Oh, you don't got to train that hard. Oh, you don't got to do this. Oh, here's this new method here. Come on now, man. Real training hasn't changed in 100 years. But these clowns come out with all these new bullshit, squatting on balls and core training and all this bullshit. All this glute activation nonsense. How is that helping athletes? Check the stats. NBA, record amount of injuries year to year. NFL, ankle, hamstrings, ACL. Before they even start the fucking season. It's crazy. And now they're not getting bigger, stronger, and faster. That's bullshit. And no, it's not the turf. That's bullshit. That's on the coaches and on the therapists. Or, even if the training is hard, they're not doing it right. Man, the amount of people they're getting is like, yo, you're hurt onto the next. You're hurt onto the next. But in Canada, we can't roll like that. Because we don't have the volume of athletes. So every athlete, we got to nurture, take care, make sure they're good. You know what I mean? And that's a problem. And it hurts me. You see, I get angry about it. Because I was one of those athletes that got hurt. My coaches didn't know better. I know I could have been an Olympian or a pro athlete. I'm not asking you. I'm fucking telling you. Pour into your athlete. Be truthful to your athlete. Athletes have to understand that you care. If they don't believe that you care, I don't care how smart you are, you're gonna lose them. You have to make your athletes understand that you care. That's how you gain their trust. Don't lie, don't sugarcoat shit, because you're not gonna help them. Some athletes I can be direct with, and I can get at them in front of people. Some athletes I can't. So you gotta know your athlete. Mental toughness, mental fortitude, vision. Because it's okay to be motivated, mentally tough, but you have to have a vision. Because that vision is going to get you up every morning. That vision is going to get you through the workouts. That vision is going to get you through the ups and downs. That vision is going to get you through the injuries. That vision is going to get you through everything you need to get through to attain your vision. And then you got to be careful who's on that ride with you with that vision. Because sometimes it's your own family. It could be a mom, it could be a dad, it could be your sister, it could be your brother. Jealousy, you don't know where jealousy is coming from. I see it come from everywhere. It could be your wife. And that's real. That's life. Females have to trust you. And once a female trusts you, they'll listen to you more than the men. Males are more numbers. Males, you have to be more authoritative. Because it's just males, right? If a male feels like he can dominate you, in my opinion, you're not going to get too far as a coach. So the males work off of pecking orders. That's just life. We're going right back to the nature, like the wild. Like we don't like to communicate like it, but that's just the way it is. Females trust, respect, and find a way to communicate with them that works. And males, you got to treat them with respect, but you got to show. I don't know if it's dominant, but you got to show that you mean business. That's just my approach. Like buddy doesn't work with me. My relationships are usually based on respect, not buddy. I have a lot of clients that we become friends and stuff like that, but they respect me and I respect them. Weightlifting, that's a tough fucking sport, but it's really rewarding. And it's helped my gym a lot because we utilize a lot of weightlifting in our athletes. So a lot of things that I'm looking for, talking about, mobility, stability, training at full range of motion, dynamic, explosive, is all in weightlifting. Weightlifting. It's just how to pick that apart and apply it in different sports. But weightlifting is a tough, mentally challenging sport. Depending on what level you are, you're grinding on your own, especially in Canada. You don't have a national team where everybody grinding together, blah, blah, blah. So if you're at an elite level, you're training multiple times a day, is on your own. So to me, weightlifting is probably the most difficult sport. For me as a coach, it's mentally rewarding as educating, but it's extremely draining. And everything, all that work is like 100 meters. Everything over in less than 10 seconds. Months and months and months of training, in 10 seconds, it's a wrap. But it's really rewarding. So as a strength coach, or anybody has any sense as a strength coach, knows that Olympic weightlifting is an integral part in building power and explosive. Coming from track, we use Olympic weightlifting a lot, like power cleans, for example. And so coming from that track background, but studying to become a strength coach, I was lucky to be connected with Pierre Waugh, which is my mentor, who taught me Olympic weightlifting initially just to train my sport athletes. Then after, as my daughter got involved in Olympic weightlifting, I went back to him and he taught me everything there is to need to know about weightlifting. I would go back summers and winters and whatever to internships just to learn, take notes, years and years and years. I have notes and conversations of the methodology and practice of Olympic weightlifting. Pierre Waugh is probably one of the smartest Olympic weightlifting coaches in Canada. No one really knows, or I would say in the world. one of the proudest moments happened, like I'll tell you, like an in-gym proud moment. One time Maya, just before the Worlds, I think it was 2019, she just had a breakdown, like mental, just cried, like mental breakdown. And you know, she slipped out of the back door and she just went for a walk and she cried, and because she was going through a tough training. Like it was really tough. And then I said, Maya, it's okay, just take the day off, don't come out. She goes, no, Daddy, I'm coming back. She came back, boy, and just tore it up. It blew my mind, because she looked like a different person. And so I learned, it taught me with women, sometimes they don't know, sometimes she doesn't even know why she's crying. She just got to get it out. And a lot of times she'll cry and just come right back to training. And I learned this to tell you a story. First time Pierre Wall gave me his training methods, and I implemented them on Kia and Maya. And this was years ago. And then Maya started crying. And this was the first time I ever cried in training. I ran outside. I called Pierre, go, Pierre, Maya's crying. Pierre goes, it's okay, let her cry. Girls are tough. She'll cry and then go right back. That was the first time. I was like, wow. Second proudest moment is when she won the Commonwealth Games gold medal, man. Yeah, man, that's in the books. She broke 2 Commonwealth Games records and won the gold medal. Come on, baby. That's a proud daddy. Like, all that work, and we ain't done, you know. It's just been a lot of ups and downs and hard. It's just what it is. Weightlifting sport teaches you a lot of lessons, but her winning that gold medal was like a accumulation of all the struggles and just everything you've been through, man. Check this out. So she won. Obviously, I'm proud. Like she got the medal. I'm all happy because she had to do drug testing. I think I have a video or some pictures of it. So I told her, man, give me that medal. So in the drug testing room, she gave me the medal. I'm taking some selfies with the medal and, you know, just wearing that medal, proud. But when she came outside, and so we're in drug testing for about an hour and a half. When we walked out those doors, people were there waiting for her, giving her a standing ovation. Come on, man. She was no more good. Her mom was there crying. The crowd was giving her like a standing ovation. It's like she endeared the crowd. And her mom said there were even double the people there. It's just that we're, taking so long. So there would have been more people. I was no more good. That was my proudest, because I kind of expected her to win the gold medal when it's and one of the things there, I didn't want to fuck up. You're favored to win. Anything can happen. And even though you're winning, we have things that we got to get because, these competitions count for points for other competitions and things like that. Funding and so rankings. So one statement or quote that came to me over and over, because I was fucking nervous, man. And plus I was selected as the coach. I had to coach the whole team, which was a good thing because it kept me busy instead of me in my head. So I was coaching all day. A quote by Winston Churchill. It's, I have nothing to fear but fear itself. I just kept on saying it over and over. I have nothing to fear but fear itself. I have nothing to fear but fear itself. I have nothing to fear itself. I have nothing to fear but fear itself. And that kept me solid, dog. Commonwealth, I'll never forget that. That was a beautiful experience. And then watching her to realize win that goal and then to come outside and she had people stand ovation. And then we're walking on the street, say, hey, we seen you on TV. You make us proud. You know what I mean? They loved her in Birmingham, man. Yeah, man, proud daddy, baby. For real. The only thing that they really care about in Canada is hockey. So it's not only weightlifting, it's track and field. Other sports are going through it. It's just that instead of making excuses, we find a way. We're grateful that I have a gym, she can train. I'm a dad that understands part-time athlete, part-time results, which was taught to me by Charlie Francis. A lot of people don't understand. Charlie Francis built the strongest the strongest track team in the world. He built a sprint machine with that same mentality. Part-time athlete, part-time results. He went out there, got funding. He hustled, he got funding for his athletes. So I just take that same model and go out there and get funding for her where we can. I fund athletes, our gym sponsors athletes, because if it's not about hockey, Canada don't really care, right? That's just the way it is, or winter sports. Yeah, it makes it difficult, but you gotta find a way and don't use it as an excuse. You know, lions may be the king in the jungle, or tiger may be more powerful than a wolf. But you're never gonna find a wolf in a circus, but you'll find a tiger in the circus, you'll find a lion in the circus, you'll find a freaking bear in the circus. You're not finding wolves in no circus. They think for themselves. And they're very loyal in their family. They're pack-oriented. They look after their own. We encourage our athletes to think for themselves. Give them the right information, give them the right training, give them the right culture so they can think for themselves. Because once they leave this gym, it's dog eat dog. And there's a lot of obstacles they have to navigate. So we try to give the athletes not only the physical tools, but the mental tools. That's why we don't baby our athletes here. Mike Tyson, because he's probably one of the most like physically dominant dudes that I just ever seen. But when I look at the whole encompassing of dominance, I would say Muhammad Ali. Intellectually, boxer, leader of his people. And I know there's a lot like Jim Brown. I love Jim Brown he was a running back for the Cleveland Browns, old school running back. Another strong, dominant monster, just run over people. You just couldn't stop Jim Brown. So say I'll pick one athlete from each sport. I like Kobe, so I'll go with Kobe Bryant. I'll go with Muhammad Ali, and I'll go with Jim Brown. Those would be my top three, and not just physically dominant, but intellectually dominant. So I'm not talking about just physics. I'm talking about the dominance that they exhibited outside their sport. Like, it's crazy to see what he would accomplish if he didn't die so early. His drive and work ethic motivates me. I didn't like Kobe because from the beginning, like, I just thought he was a kid born with a silver spoon in his mouth. And actually, one of my coaches used to work here, a great kid. His name is, he worked for me for years, Mark Breeze. No, Clance, man. You got to check out Kobe. You're going to love Kobe. And one day I went to Chapters to grab a book, and I saw the Kobe book, and I just grabbed it because I thought, nice for the coffee table. I just liked it, you know? And then I finished that book in 2 days. I recommend that book to every kid. Every kid should read that book, Mamba Mentality. That boy's a beast. Leads by example. And that's what we need. Stop your yapping, stop your talking, show that on the court. He was horrible in basketball his first year in high school. You know what he said he's going to do? He's going to play basketball every day. That's what he did. Next year, top scorer in the league. Didn't stop. I'm going to start lifting weights. He just did everything at a higher level. You know how many times a day Kobe Bryant worked out? 4 times. 2 times in the morning, 2 times in the evening. His work ethic, he willed himself to be the greatest. There's nobody his work ethic blew my mind. Mamba mentality all day, baby. That boy gets my respect. You know how hard that is? And he's rich. It's not like he was poor. That's what even makes it great, because I don't know what was driving him, because his dad was already playing the NBA, so he had NBA money. So that was even more impressive to me. Because if you look at a lot of athletes' background, their motivation is get some money. And he's a savage, man. Another thing is he made everybody better. I could talk about Kobe all day. God rest his soul, rest in peace. That boy he made everybody better, whether you like it or not. He embarrassed, and he wasn't backing down from nobody. I gotta respect that boy. Bo Jackson, hands down. But Bo Jackson, a lot of people don't know, he didn't like lifting weights. He didn't like working out. He didn't do all that grind. He was just roll out of bed, gifted, crazy. God just said, yo, there is Bo. You know how hard it is to break a baseball bat? Because he was fast, fluid, athletic, not tight. He could have did any sport. When I found out he didn't work out, I was heartbroken. I'm there busting my ass, boy, doing all this work to be like Bo Jackson and find this man did not work out. I'm just like, yo, life ain't fair. It's a frustration of the parents, talking to a lot of parents, and they don't understand. They're just getting robbed by, these sports-specific programs, or hockey-specific, football-specific, baseball-specific, this and this and that. It came out of frustration, but you know what I realized over the years? It's very complicated. It's a process, it's a system, and you gotta know what you're doing. What we're gonna do is pour energy into our athletes in here to help them be durable and help them achieve their dreams. I love writing, but I realize it just gets me angry. One of the books that I would recommend, his name is Amos Wilson. I never told nobody this. Amos Wilson. And the book is called Power. And if you read that book, you'll get a great understanding of how the world works and power works. And as an author, he's one of my favorite, and I don't think hardly anybody knows him. Rain, storm, doesn't matter. I gotta be outside 45 minutes, I don't care. And I haven't missed it. And it really helped me think. And one of the conclusions I've come up with and understand is that I gotta be more focused. And where is the best to put my energy? Put your energy in what you love doing. What do I love doing? Producing the best athletes in the world. So anything that comes in the way of that, I X. Because sometimes you think you're focused, or sometimes you think you're handling stress, you're not really narrowing down your focus. Like, this is what I love to do. My daughter's about to train 3 o'clock, second training session at 3. That's my focus. So writing the book in the morning, I take an hour and a half every morning. That's taken away from what athletes I can be producing. I built my business based on production, not on yapping or talking or writing. I know it's there, but I don't pull the race card. I just get back at you. I take your number and I'm coming. I don't use it as an excuse. There's a lot of blatant things I ain't gonna get into, but I don't use it as an excuse. If the athlete works with me or with the LPS, they know that they're gonna get the fullness of our methodologies to disrupt whatever it is. Like, I have a vendetta against certain leagues or whatever that, like, I'm coming. You bet I'm coming. Like, period. You're laughing. I'm serious, bro. Like, you getting me upset right now, bro. I am so serious. It's not in front, because there's a deal going to come through, and once that comes through, you're going to see what I'm talking about. We are coming, because at the end of the day, you can't stop results. And you can talk all the shit you want, but results are what matters. What are the numbers? How many pucks are you putting in the net, and all that shit. That's it. I am true to my philosophy because I've done the work. Like, I don't just listen to what other people say. I do my research. I do my reading. I'm an avid learner. I educate myself. I don't just watch YouTube and take what somebody said on YouTube for whatever. So it's trial and error. This is a lab, and this lab has been going on for years, right? So there's things that work. So I'm not easily led to things. And don't get me wrong, I try to stay open to new things, because things do evolve. There are things that, but I found over the years that not many's changed. A lot of people just kind of change things around and change this a little bit and then call it this. You know what I mean? So if you understand the principles, you understand the core, you have to know your craft inside out. Like, I know my craft. That's the difference. Like, I know my anatomy. I know the physiology. I know the biomechanics. And once you understand that, you can apply that to different sports, basketball, football, soccer, whatever. I am open-minded. I listen, and I'll take a cent here, a cent there, and I just try to be respectful. If it makes sense, I accept it. If it doesn't, I just keep it moving. The advice I would give coaches that are starting out, don't be lazy. Have a notebook, take notes, read. Well, you know what I did when I started, when I got into the coaching? I found out who my best coaches, who the coaches I respect. I went to them, saw them at seminars, and I asked them, what are the top 3 books you've read? And the books that they told me, I bought them, and I read them. That's how I started. Number 2 is whoever coach that attracts you, your style or whatever, you kind of emulate them, mirror them. And then you can kind of transfer into your own style. But it all goes back down to education, not being lazy, getting up early, staying late, paying attention to detail, stop joking around. Like, you got to observe. One of the things I hate is when interns come in here and they're not paying attention, they're not observing. They're yapping or laughing and joking. I ain't gonna spend no time with you. Some of my other stuff, I'm not. You got to pay attention to everything. Take notes about everything. That's what I did when I was an intern. I was obsessed about my craft. After I work out, I hit my desk and I study my craft. There's so much information to learn in our field. It's incredible. Never, ever, ever let someone dictate your dreams. Like, what I hate is when people put their limitations on you. Like, you have haters and people who, because they can't do it, they can't work as hard, they tell you can't do it. Number 1 advice is for people is never let anyone else, doesn't matter who it is, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your friend. If you believe you can do something, you can do it, whatever it is, you just put in the work. And don't worry about the next person, because everyone's different. Everybody moves at their own pace. Some people have to work 3 times as hard, but fucking work 3 times as hard. That's it. Life ain't fair. Not everybody's born the same way. No 2 people are alike. Some people simply have to work harder than others. So just shut the fuck up and do it. Hey, this is Clance Laylor of LPS, and you're watching The Hustle Never Dies, my man.